Thank you for coming, Quay Day. We appreciate your presence and everything. You you came here today to tell us your story.
Mm-hmm.
Can you please introduce us to young Quay? What was she like?
Well, thanks for having me today. I appreciate the opportunity and the invite. Quay was quiet. Quay was quiet. She was nice. I was sweet. Nerdy, cautious. I was innocent. I was precious. I was a precious lamb.
Oh,
Yeah, I was a precious lamb.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I was. I was really quiet. It's so weird because it seems like I'm so different than what I was, but I'm still
You
her.
definitely seem the total opposite than what you just said.
I know.
Because you have a very outgoing personality.
Yeah.
Okay, so you grew up in a two-parent religious household. How was that as a teen?
Uh, Confusing, but also informative because well, my mom raised us in the church, and that was cool. My dad lived a different lifestyle. He was an alcoholic and an addict, so it was confusing. I think it made me kind of want the best of like two different worlds. You know what I mean? But my dad wasn't really in the home as much. So it was mainly my mom's influence, which was church, 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 church.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sang in the choir. I did the welcome at the church. Um, I did a little praise dance. I was a little stiff, but
Look at God.
look at God. A little stiff on that, but yeah, I sang in the choir and did the welcome and stuff like that. I didn't really understand the church, but I just knew I had to go every Sunday because my mom did not play that.
Okay. You're now. You said that your father was an addict. How did that affect your household?
Mm. So, yes, I remember at times there would be like parties, there would be violence, like a lot of broken glass. There would be parties, and I remember my dad like allowing us to drink the rest of the beer out the bottle.
Mm.
And then a lot of anger, a lot of rage, and abuse.
Hmm.
So I think that's how it affected the home. I think the last straw was like in 1998 when my mom was pregnant with my sister, and she finally got away from that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and it's crazy because it's like blackout moments of my childhood. I don't really, some people they're like, oh, I remember this, I remember that, and I'm like, shoot, I feel like I suppressed a lot of things and blacked it all out. But I do remember the broken glass because, well, I cut myself on the broken glass.
Hmm.
And I remember some of the violence and things like that. So, yeah, I think it did have an impact on our home. It also can be confusing because you don't know which way to go. You know what I mean? You go to church or you go to the bottle. And so, yeah, I had a little bit of everything in my household, I guess.
Okay. So inside of your bio, it says that you are the oldest of five. That comes with a lot of responsibilities. How did you handle that?
Yes, I'm the oldest of five. I'm also the shortest of five. I was the
Okay.
smallest of five, and I'm
The
a
little big sister.
yeah, I'm a big dog though. I'm a big dog. And
Okay.
so they never listened to me. They never listened to me. It was annoying. By being the first child, I always knew what to do and how to do it. I stayed out of trouble. I didn't get in trouble much at all. And then of course, little siblings, they meddle or they do things, they get into trouble and I just be looking at them like, I told you, like, like even with chores, do your chores, and I tried to like be like a real big sister, but it just
Mm-hmm.
didn't work. They didn't really
They didn't listen to
respect
you.
me. Yeah, and it caused issues later on in my life.
Okay.
I have a whole different demeanor now and personality because of if I feel like you're not listening to me, it reminds me of that. But
It's a trigger.
yeah,
It's a trigger in a way.
yeah.
Okay.
But it was cool. It was all right. I had got a job. I'll get a job, and you think you grown. You buy your own food. You don't care. I'll wake up in the morning. It's gone. They done ate it. Like little things like that. My socks, they just, every little thing that, nothing's ever really yours.
No,
Nothing's ever really yours.
not at all.
And then you can't be selfish. So like I remember I had a favorite dress and it didn't fit me no more and I was supposed to pass it along.
Yes.
I had issues at a young age, Jay, of letting go.
You gotta share.
Yeah.
You have to share.
I guess so. Share everything. I done shared everything. Anyways, I'm back.
So in your bio, it says that your parents had divorced. How old were you, and how did it affect you?
Good question. I remember being in like 6th grade because there was a support group that the school had put together for for children whose parents were divorced. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was cool. Like you get out of class for a little bit. I also thought it was strange because it wasn't really the kids from my neighborhood in the support group. So it was interesting to see like, oh, it happens in other people's families. You know what I mean? I also thought the divorce thing was normal because no one really had a dad where I was from, where I lived. You know what I mean? They didn't have a dad. So it kind of made me feel like, well, you know, what's wrong with it? Because it can't really be anything wrong with it. All of my friends, none of them have dads. You know what I mean? So, but I like the fact that there was a support group for that. And especially at that age, there should be a support group probably for everything that happens in life. You know what I mean? But I think that I don't know if it had an impact on my relationships or anything or the way I view men because I'm still working on that.
I noticed that's something we don't have in our community is more help for certain situations like that. Mm-hmm. Like divorce. You definitely should have some type of sit-down therapy session, a counselor, something like that. But I think in those situations, we're just kind of left to pick up the pieces on our own.
I think so, too, because like I said, I thought it was normal. And, you know, it's crazy the things that we normalize and that we just, like, carry on our backs. I thought that was normal. You know, but any type of severance or breakage in your home, of course, is going to have an impact on the family, right? My mom was she's a very strong woman. So I feel like what's wrong with being a strong woman? My mama did it. And I just have to, you know, and I don't really depend on a guy to do anything for me because I never had that. You know what I mean? My mom would get it all done herself. But that sounds good and everything, right? But it also makes me feel like I don't trust men. And that's, if I want a relationship, I have to be able to trust them. And it gives me like trust issues. I can't rely on you, and I don't think that's fair that I don't rely. As far as support in the communities, I think that I thought that was really cool that they offered that, right? Mm-hmm. And nobody ever talks about anything. And I remember talking to a lot of people back in the day. They didn't talk about any issues that went on at home. People were ashamed if their husband and wife split up and things like that, or somebody cheated or whatever. It would be a lot of shame with that. But then I think like it prohibited us from being able to communicate things. I do think now that my father not being in the home did have an impact on me because I think that you can just have a home without a father. You know what I mean? So many things I could say about all that. And I like that back then they had support groups like that. And I agree with you as far as they should have more support groups for almost every little thing. Because you never know how things impact people. Just because I was normalizing it and just because it was normal to me doesn't mean that it didn't have an impact on my life. Or I remember seeing people on TV, you know, they were like, and the kid will just start acting out. And they're like, my parents are going through a divorce, okay? And I'm like, whoa. Like, what? Like, that's really how they be. Like, that broke you? You know what I mean? Like, well, you know, to have some compassion and some sensitivity. Okay, that broke you.
Yeah.
Maybe it broke me and I just didn't know it.
I think growing up in our community, we go through different things and it has an impact on us. And we don't really look at how deep that impact is because we've seen so many traumatic things that we can just brush it off and it could just be like,
Yeah. And it's not really fair. I mean, you know, and on one end, you could look at it and say it made me stronger. It made me as strong as I am, you know, because I see people all the time now and I'm just like, And then that's when I have to tap into the compassion and because there were times when things happened to me and people be looking like, that bothered you? And I'm like, yeah. But it's probably just a buildup of all of those things. Probably, maybe the divorce affected me. I know that now, as an older woman, I can see how not having a father in the home has damaged me. You know, I
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I cussed my dad clean the fuck out January 31st, about a year or two ago. And I'm mad about my delivery about it. I'm not mad about what I said because what I said was the truth, but I was intoxicated when I said it. And my mom didn't raise me like that. You know, I was so disrespectful. But like I said, it was the truth. I'm just not proud of how I did it.
I think that the delivery is important, but I think the message is more important. You can say something to somebody, you can cuss at them, but if you're telling the truth and it makes complete sense, your harsh delivery might make them upset. It might touch their ego a little bit, and they might get pissed off. But if what you said was the truth, they should be able to step away from that conversation, sit down, uh, sit down with themselves, and actually make it make sense.
I agree.
Sometimes our ego can actually get in the way of us evolving into better people.
And I agree with that. I've heard you speak about accountability. And I think that person has to be willing to be accountable for what is being said. Because I think what it did was sever even more. He's really, like, he left the state. I haven't talked to him since. And part of my problem, I'm him. You know what I mean? And I had to become him to have any type of forgiveness for him, any type of compassion for him. And I remember, because as a kid, I'm like, oh, you didn't love us, you didn't care. But becoming an addict myself has taught me, like, oh, I love my kids. I'm in an addiction. You know what I mean?
Let his addiction get the best.
And I said that to him. I said, Dad, I was like, dang, I done carried that stuff for so long. And I was like, you an addict. I had to become one to figure out that you did. It's a possibility that you cared about me. I just took a negative narrative on that and ran with it and was able to use that. And also going back to that divorce group, like I said, it's nobody had a dad. And it's like, I normalized that. And, fathers are just as important as mothers. You need both,
For sure.
Yeah.
Drugs.
Almost cried a little bit, boy.
Drugs can definitely change people for the worse. You can have the most outgoing, happy person. They could be thoughtful of everybody, but as soon as they get that addiction, they turn into a demon. They turn into an animal for real. And so it's so I understand your addiction actually made you give him some grace. I think that's pretty dope.
Yeah.
So once you came to him with the disrespectful tone, did he have a flight type of response?
Literally, I guess he took a flight to Texas because that's where he lives now. Yeah. And I had to look up and see, but when because I was at his house that night, it was the night of. See, it was January 31st. January 31st is the day that my nephew died and the day that my sister died. And normally, yeah, thank you. Normally we get together, we drink, smoke, eat, you know what I mean? And on that day. And so we did that. We got together with my dad and we drank and we smoked and we ate. Crazy night. I woke up with bruises the next day. How did I have bruises and I'm with family? You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. So it's, anyways, the next day he had to bring me home and he brought me home and he said everything was going to be all right. He said, we're going to get through all this. And then he took a flight to Texas. And I had just heard that. I'm like, oh, he lives in Texas with, oh, okay. That's cool.
So he really did have a flight.
Yeah.
Response.
Flight.
Now, their divorce is that what made you begin to start drinking?
Nope. Um, I was in sixth grade. Like I said, I was a saint. I was a total geek. Um, that didn't make me start drinking. I don't think I drank until, well, I think I started smoking pot. Started smoking pot later on in middle school a little bit, but I didn't understand how to smoke it. So it was just it was stupid. I couldn't get high. I would hit it and
You
drink
didn't
it.
inhale.
Yeah, I didn't, and they was laughing at me, and I
You
couldn't
would drink
handle
and
it.
smoke?
No, I would. They said, Quay, it's not water. Yeah. Like, it's not water. I'm like, man, forget this. I don't want to do this. You know what I'm saying? So I just kind of, but then I learned how to smoke.
Yeah.
And it made me kind of, I want to say, made me a little famous. Like, I was funny. So I didn't have to purchase any of the pot. You know, one of the cool guys in school, he was like, Quay, yeah, we're smoking today. We're going to be at my place. You just be there with the jokes. And that's all I had to do, just come in and be funny. So I did that, you know, and then I was with the cool kids.
Okay.
You know, I got to be with the cool kids then, and then my nerd friends, while they're doing homework and stuff, you know, I'm with the cool kids now. I started listening to R&B.
Smoking hella weed.
Smoking pot. Yeah.
That's good.
I listened to one of the first songs that I heard was SWV Week.
Oh.
Yeah, and because mind you, I came from church and I was, you know, holy as the lamb. But then once I got with my sisters,
That's right.
yeah, I started smoking pot and yeah, being funny and getting in trouble. Didn't get in trouble, but I talked a lot, so I would get distracted in school.
Okay.
So then my mom moved me from Clegg Middle School, and I thought I was going to go to the high school with everybody else. She informed me right after eighth grade graduation that I would not be going to the big high school. I would be going to Roberto Clemente. And I said, oh my God, Mom, how could you? Because that was the school where the bad kids went. Okay. So my mom used to just look at me like, because I really did that. Mom, how dare you? I can't. I have to go to Huron with my friends. No, and it was the best decision ever for me because those smaller schools, you know what I mean? You get more attention. Everything's not bad. Change is not always bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was a good thing. But that's where I met the drug dealers.
That's where you met the dope dealers. So you met these dope dealers. How did that actually go?
It showed me, like, because in, like, first through third grade, I went to private school, and everything was just real like that. So it was like a different type of school. You know what I mean? There was more people there that looked like me. I think it made me want more of, like, the thugged out lifestyle, if you will.
Because you were a good girl.
Yeah, I was a good girl. And so, like, I saw, you know, a lot of people linking up and stuff like that. I started going to everybody's, like, neighborhoods and smoking weed, and didn't really drink that much. I smoked a lot at first. So, yeah, and that kept me cool with the cool crowd. You know what I mean? I was able to go to anybody's neighborhood and, you know, I pull up, we smoke, match, you know, and all of that. So it just took me kind of, it exposed me to different people, to more people.
Okay. So meeting different people, did that cause you to experiment with any other type of substances?
Yes, eventually. Shortly after that, so I was about probably, you know, let's go to high school, and I'm about 18, and I met this guy, this older guy, and it was so crazy because he called me baby, and that did something. See, this is why.
How did that make you feel? How did that word baby make you feel? Please explain to the people.
Well, this fatherless child.
Right.
You know, I didn't get none of that. You know, and I just remember, so I was like, he called me baby, so it made me feel special. You know what I mean? It's a difference when your mom tells you you're beautiful and, you know, says sweet things to you versus, like, your dad. You know what I mean? Like, even to this day, I can't handle no dude. Don't call me that shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm still, like, thugged out. Like, but I'm trying to change that. But it made me feel special. I felt like, and it was crazy because this guy had like a reputation in the neighborhood. He just got back from prison.
He was a thug.
Yeah, he was a thug. And he and I felt like I was selected. You know what I mean? Yeah. I felt like I was selected. It was crazy. I did at that age, I had, well, dang. I had made a promise to my mom and to God. I had this ring on my finger to wait until I was married to have sex. So, okay, Mom, because I do everything my mom says, right? So I did that or whatever. But, you got questions and stuff like that. And, I would ask questions and I couldn't get answers, really. I didn't get the answers I wanted.
What type of questions?
Oh, man. Like, I used to say, Mom, when can I have a boyfriend? Oh, when you're 74. And me, I'm the dramatic child. It's like, 74? No one's going to want me. Like, what? And I would take her so serious. You know what I mean? And she probably was serious. But I went from that to, yeah, he called me baby and I felt special. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the guys my age or whatever, I was always real silly. So it wasn't like guys my age would actually like me. And then I was built like a boy. So I didn't get no attention. And then the oldest of 5, you get skimmed over. So it was probably an attention thing. He called me baby, and he licked my ass. Yeah, he licked my ass.
That's what did it.
I missed church that following Sunday.
Damn.
My mom, she used to be so mad, looking like, because we lived in the same court too, and she'd be mad like they got my baby. And
so is this guy older than you?
Yeah, he was older than me.
Okay.
He had did some time in prison, and I thought that was like so gangster. And but I also thought it was weird that, I ain't gonna lie, I thought it was weird that he just got out of prison because the stigma with that. I'm like, why you want to lick my ass? That's nasty. You nasty.
It kind of be different if he asked you to lick his ass. I think that will be where the alarm would go off.
Yeah, but
that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, at this age, you know what I mean? But like even with that, like that's just, now I look at everything totally different. That was just at that 18-year-old state of mind. I mean, I let him do it. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
And we did some other things. He is the first person I ever did cocaine with.
Okay. How did he introduce cocaine to you?
It was crazy because everybody in the neighborhood was in the house. And it was crazy to me. I had a car, so I was always riding around places. But when I got back to like home, and I'm like, okay, because everybody smoke weed. So we smoking weed upstairs. But then if you go in that basement, there's some other shit going down there. And that's what it was like. The underworld is what I call it. It was like the underworld. Everybody was down there playing with their nose. And I did it because he did it. He did it.
Calling you baby.
Yeah, he called me baby, and he was licking my ass. So yeah, whatever. I did it, and I didn't really. It made me kind of like blah. I didn't really enjoy that. And then I'm like, how can he enjoy it? Because it makes you soft. You coke dick. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand. You can't even perform, buddy. So I'm just not even gonna. I left that alone. Went back to the alcohol and the pot. Because the pot, I'm funny. Everybody's laughing. You get that good chuckle on some weed. It's a good time. You know what I'm saying? Alcohol let me be someone else. So I didn't do cocaine again until later on. Somebody brought it as like a party favor. It was a girl from a Facebook group I met, and she pulled it out, and I was.
What age?
Ooh, probably in my 30s.
Okay.
Yeah, in my 30s, she pulled it out. I was like, I did it before. It's all right. Fuck it, let's do it. I did that and some ecstasy.
Oh, you had a party.
Oh,
you
yeah.
had fun.
Yeah.
So now you're in your 30s. You met up with this Facebook group friend who was on cocaine, and she gave you some.
Mm-hmm.
Is that when you started your addiction, or did that happen later on?
Excuse me. I guess that's a real good question, because when did my addiction start?
Did your addiction start with alcohol?
That's why I said that's a really good question, because I don't know because at this point in time I knew nothing about recovery, so I'd have to table that question. But at that point, by then, I had fell in love. And no, actually, I had 2 DUIs by then, and I fell in love, and once again, there goes that. Yeah, I'll do whatever we. Yeah, what's up? I was down, and I remember the conversation being brought up. Like, yeah, he was like, I did cocaine. I was like, well, I did it before back in Look at me.
Let's get it back.
Yeah, I'm like, look, I'm like anything, sir. He was so fine, man. You fine when you. I'm sorry, you fine when you can get just off I'm at an AA meeting or whatever, and I'm just like, look at this here, look at this here, just look at him. Woo! So whatever he was talking about, I was with it. I was fucking with it. And he said it was so funny because he said, yeah, I did cocaine. I was like, shit, I did too. Yeah, I'm down. He was like, no, but I smoked it. I said, shit, sign me up, bro. I'll smoke that shit. Yeah, he was that fucking fine. I started smoking crack. And that, my friend.
At what age?
37.
Okay.
That. I remember sitting up making crack commercials in the mirror. I swear to God. Making crack commercials. You got a problem in your life? Don't worry about it. Smoke some crack. It was amazing. I didn't get drunk and cuss people out. I didn't get drunk and slide all over the floors no more. I didn't get high and get stupid and slow. It took all the pain away. That's the problem with it. It took all that whole feeling of pain. It took it all away. It was the solution. And I did it. I was isolated. I did it myself. I remember my dealer, he was like, I think that because when he first seen me, he was like, you the police. Because, I was an all right looking person. So he like, you the police. And like, she ain't the police. I was not the police. But then eventually I turned into something, all right. I remember I look at some of my Facebook posts and I didn't think nobody knew. I isolated myself, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't think nobody knew. And this dealer was right. He said, if you were exposed, you'd quit because you just wouldn't. And I still question that because I think that it's an isolating drug. You don't want to share it with nobody. You don't want to do it with nobody, But then I would be going on Facebook and I'm taking pictures and I'm like, high school skinny again. And I thought nobody knew. I'm telling you, I thought I was a bad bitch, y'all. I didn't. I even made a live one time going for a jog. I'm jogging. I jogged to the liquor store. And now looking back, it's funny.
Crack
Commercials.
gave you energy.
Yeah, it gave me something. It gave me. I could see my vagina again, because
God is good.
Yeah, because you lose weight. You lose weight, and weight can be a trigger for people. I learned that in rehab. Some of the girls in there, they're like, they start gaining weight in rehab, and they're like, oh God, I gotta, and then they go use again because they want to control that weight. So yeah, I got to see my vagina again, and that felt good. I was like, I'm high school skinny. And I had no idea that I had what the crack face or the sunken in face. Mm-hmm. I had that.
I didn't see that.
Good.
I'm gonna have to go search and see.
You gonna look for the video? But that is when I think that's when I want to say, yeah, an addiction was created. Now, all the addiction people out there, don't sue me because I'm still learning about everything. It could be possibly you at that first smoke of weed or the first drink or whatever. But for me, and on this journey for myself and learning for myself, I felt like what it was like to be an addict at that point. Barely saw my daughter. She was with her dad. And just the choices I made, and like just my leggings was sagging.
Damn.
Yeah. Walking in the rain to go get it. All of that.
Do you feel like the drugs, you were like searching for something inside of the alcohol, like something that you may have been missing in your personal life or something like that?
I think that looking all the way back, because see, I used to get mad at dudes that I fucked with or whatever. I'll get mad at them. How could you treat me this way? I am a nice person. I'm that childhood Quay. I'm a nice person. How could you treat me like that? I stopped doing that because I realized the root was from not having a relationship with my father. So that enticed me. Like, oh, it wasn't you? Oh, you got your own shit too, bro. All right. That's my shit. You know what I'm saying? So I think the answer to that would be pain. I was trying to get rid of pain. That pain that I knew was there and pain that I probably didn't know was there at the point in time. And then that's why by the time, because everybody smokes weed. Everybody drink alcohol. It's socially accepted, but to smoke crack and to be, I remember somebody coming to school one day and saying, yeah, your dad got beat up last night because he didn't pay for his crack. And I was embarrassed. You know, I was embarrassed. Like, oh, he's one of those guys they talk about. He's a crackhead. This is that, you know. But then when I when I indulged, man, I was like, I see why it make all that pain. I'm telling you. I'm sorry. I'm not promoting it because it ain't for everybody. But if you want to know, it makes you feel like the problem is solved. You don't feel no pain.